I was very devastated by all the fires we've been having in the past number of years, and so I started with this idea of what can I make out of this devastation and how can I transform that devastation into something that has beauty but also that can inform people and get people to think about climate change. And so I found myself just going to fire sites afterwards and there's something really beautiful about and haunting about all these blackened trees, and I was both taken by their beauty but also by the sorrow that results in the causing, in what's happened. And this is actually some bits of a madrone tree that I found that had caught it. I guess it got a lightning strike right on the Ridgeline Trail here in Eugene, and so I went and I collected some little bits. And then I grind it up in a coffee grinder. I have a dedicated coffee grinder just for that. And then I grind it in a ball grinder and with some water. And that takes about a week to really get it fine enough. This is actually a pot of manzanita that from a fire down in California. And it's just manzanita and water. And then this becomes my pigment base for making my work. One of the things that's interesting is that different kinds of trees make different kinds of shades of black. After I get my emulsion to be this pasty stuff, then I mix in some binders, and in printing ink, you often use some gum arabic, and also these days in a lot of the printing inks they use honey, and I happen to be also a beekeeper, so I have a lot of honey. And then I mix it into a gelatin base. This is the carbon printing, like a lot of the other early photo processes, is a ultraviolet light printing process. And so I use some light boxes, and we're going to set this up as if we were going to print the photo, but this hasn't been sensitized, so we're just going to pretend. Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is one of the endangered wildflower species from my piece, the Hanging by a Thread piece. So I started then I realized, they're carbon prints, and I could make carbon prints, and carbon doesn't fade. Carbon is, what we measure time with. Carbon is carbon dating. We're made mostly of carbon, carbon and water, so carbon is this really essential element, and so I started turning the soot into these photographs made using carbon printing, which actually is a neat thing, is that carbon printing was invented in 1855, and climate change was first measured by an American woman scientist named Eunice Foote in 1856. And so the two things, the history of photography, because it's one of the first very early method of printing, the history of photography and the history of climate change are really intertwined, and I love that sort of that junction that happened. And